Hi,
Hi, Sumit.
really sorry. Yeah, hi Prajakta, how are you?
No. I'm
Sorry for
doing
being
great.
late.
How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm good, thanks.
No problem.
Am I
No
audible?
problem. I cannot hear you properly. You are not audible properly.
Wait.
Just be closer to the speaker.
Yeah, I think, let me just, yeah, now is it better?
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect, perfect.
So, yeah. So to go ahead with, should we wait for certain viewers to join or should we begin with the session?
Absolutely, I mean, you can wait for certain viewers. I'm absolutely fine.
Okay, okay. So, first of all, I would like to thank you on behalf of the entire team of Spectrum Food Solutions and on behalf of all the viewers for joining for this session.
Thank you.
Uh, and I'm sure, and I'm sure this would be a very insightful session because as I read about your work profile, 15 years of experience is a lot of things are there wherein we can get to learn from your end. Yeah. I think
I
we'll
think,
we'll go ahead with the session. Yeah, yeah, tell me.
yeah, yeah. No, I was saying obviously it's definitely those years which have taught me a lot of things, but I mean, nobody's perfect. I'm here basically just to share my experience rather than, give some kind of gyan because that's not what we do. Honestly speaking, we are just here to share our experiences and probably I can just throw some insights or lights which I have experienced during my journey. So probably, yeah, it may help some people.
Of course. And then, 15 years of experience into sales and marketing, and then running a business, not just running a business, but running it successfully is again, we would get to learn that from you. So, to all the viewers, when we initiated with the live session for the first time, I don't know how many of you remember, but then we had co-founder of Food Co-work, which is Swapnil Dhotre, who had given us a very insightful information on how to begin a food cloud kitchen. So today we again have a co-founder of Food Co-work who would be giving us an insight on sales and marketing mix, which is an important, you can say basis of any food business, not only for food we can say, but for any business. So to go ahead with this session, Sumit, before we go into the area of questions, I would like to understand, or just want to know how was your journey of 15 years and being a salesperson and then getting into food business. How was that entrepreneurial journey all about?
Well, it all started like any other uh, kid who is kind of ambitious and trying to aspire or aspiring to become something. I wanted to prepare for CAT. I wanted to do my MBA from one of those esteemed colleges. So obviously, I started my journey from there. But then I started preparing for it. Somebody told me that you need to have some work experience uh, when you are appearing for the interview, especially for those elite institutes. So I took it. I mistook it actually, and I landed in working for a call center to begin with, and in fact, that's how my full-time career began after my college. But prior to that, yes, I a small stint in selling, uh, I would say, selling few products. So the very first thing which I started selling in my life was a newspaper. That was Indian Express newspaper. So I was one of the marketing executives. It was a part-time job for me while working while studying in the college. So that was when I was in Pune. So it was really difficult for me to sell a newspaper in a city where I was not aware about the language, and I was absolutely in the middle of a place. It was in Pimpri Chinchwad, so everybody could only speak Marathi, and I was a non-Maharashtrian. So it was really, really difficult, and I had to go to their houses, pitch the product, tell the benefits. So I would say it was really difficult. I did door to door selling then. That's how I started my sales journey. I mean, uh, it was definitely awesome. And then I worked for Citibank also. I was selling current account and sell account. People call it CASA. So that was also a part time job which I did during my college days. So my sales career per se it began from there, and and from there on, yes, I landed in working for a call center. Obviously, I got some exposure there, and then I started working for different companies like Bank of America, Continuum Solutions. Then I worked for Kaizen Infotech Solutions, Tiny Owl, Food Panda, Paytm. All this happened over the, during my journey. I also worked for my family business. It was also a small stint. So I got an exposure of working for your own business for about good 3-4 years, and then I came back to working in Mumbai again. So yeah, it's a in a nutshell, it's been a great journey so far, and I would like you to ask me if there is anything specific related to our viewers, because I'm sure we can always talk about n number of stuff. So I would like to you
Of
can go
course,
ahead and ask specific questions which are related
of
to our
course.
viewers. Yeah.
Of course. So, Sumit, today's topic is sales and marketing mix. So, to go ahead with, more in detail, I would just begin with the basics. That what sales and marketing mix is all about.
Well, theoretically, these are two different things, and marketing heads the domain, and sales is just one part of it, and then you have after sales as well. So, yeah, we will not talk about what theoretical differences are. What I have understood sales and marketing. So, if you're talking about hardcore sales, uh, number one, you have to have a belief in your product. It doesn't matter what you're selling, because at the end of the day, what I believe is that we are all selling ourselves every second. If you want to look good in front of somebody, you are trying to sell yourself. If you want to have a great impression in front of somebody, so personally also you are trying to sell yourself. So what do you do exactly? It all begins with a belief in the product. And if you're talking about yourself, the product is you. If you're talking about something, some other tangible products or services, that's the product or services that you are about to sell. So the very first thing is that you have to have a belief in what you're going to do and what you're going to sell, and then the rest, automatically the rest will follow. But believing in something first, and then you should understand whom are you selling it to and why do they need it. So rather than you trying to sell something, try to fill the gap or try to provide a solution. I think the moment we change our perspective, a lot of things will become clear. A lot of things will become clear.
Okay.
So I
That
think
that was
that's
the
basic.
first. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So also there are four P's. I've just heard about it that there are four P's in marketing.
I I'm not a marketing professional, honestly speaking. I mean, I don't know all those jargons. Uh, See, it's like you talk about people, you talk about product, you talk about I think people, product, and then there are two other P's. I'm sure you know it better than me. But my
No,
point
no, no.
is, I have always looked at it that way. If I do not find any product convincing enough, I will not be able to do proper sales, no matter how
Exactly.
much pressure I have to work under. So that's the very first thing. And
Okay.
then uh, whom are you selling it to? Basically, that's again a very important question. So you have to get into their shoes rather than just working on all those metrics which we are trained. Basically, there are a lot of things in sales that you have to create a fear of missing out. You have to create some kind of environment. There is a lot of psychological aspects to sales, but then you have to ask yourself, what are you selling and whom are you selling it to? And I mean, do you really believe in it or not? If it's just about
Yeah.
incentive, there are some good people, there are some people who have done amazing sales, even though whether they believed in the product or not. But then there are exceptions always. So
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you talk about, yeah, you can ask me. Obviously, I don't know about 4 Ps, to be very honest.
Okay. So, since we are into a food business, so, what are the marketing mix considering, the food business? So, for example, if we take your cloud kitchen venture, so, taking that into consideration, what are the, marketing mix which you can share with us about?
Yes. So now, the moment we talk about food, broadly speaking, there are few different verticals. Cloud kitchen is just one of them. So currently focusing on cloud kitchens, if we narrow it down, uh, there are certain challenges also, and the challenges are you are you are not able to interact with your customer directly. You don't even know him. The customer is not able to see you, so there is no personal interaction between you and your customer. And then there are n number of challenges where you have to reach out to the customer, and then there are certain alternative channels you have to take in order to reach and connect with them. So cloud kitchens, obviously, you may be able to create good food, but it's at the end of the day it has to reach to the correct target audience. So when you look at it from the marketing perspective, if you talk about it in a day-to-day scenario, like when you meet somebody and you ask him, hey, are you running a cloud kitchen and how do you sell it? He'll be like, okay, I'm selling it on Swiggy and Zomato and I do have my social website or social media presence. I mean, that's it. But then people are not able to think out of the box. There are few ways you can try and get in touch with your local customers. It's not
Okay.
just through social media. You can get in touch with the local influencers. There are certain old methods which are still working, like the pamphlets. The uh, I would say the word of mouth publicity always stays. It will stay there forever. So that will happen when there are certain people who know you. So you can start from the place where you live and where your kitchen is located. You can start talking about it to people who know you in that vicinity. Apart from your social media posts and Facebook and Instagram posts, people don't know your product, so they would love to try it. So you can start with the basic thing, which is pamphlets.
Okay.
Keep creating posts, a little bit of innovative posts about the food. Then you can come up with some free samplings also if you want. That's totally up to you. It's all about what your budget is, okay, and how do you want to reach out to the people. So if you
Okay.
think that there are 5 or 6 good societies, so you can try and get in touch with their secretaries by sending them few samples of your products and telling them that, hey,
Okay.
we are starting this new kitchen of ours and we would love to you know uh, serve your residents there. And
Okay.
we can, because all these residential areas may be closer to your kitchen, so there your dependency on Swiggy and Zomato may not be there. So you can save something by giving them discounts to those residents, and you may just have to have one of your own delivery guys. So there you are able to save 25% of the commission on the total food value. Out of that 25%, you can give 10% discount to those local residents. And the moment that happens, people start talking. So even if you get hold of like 2 or 3 families in each of the societies, and if you help them or if you seek help from them in promoting your brand, trust me, people are helpful. They can just talk about your brand, and they can give good reviews in their own WhatsApp group. Every society has their own WhatsApp group. So that's also one of the ways how
Right.
can you penetrate in generating more orders besides your Instagram and Facebook posts and your pamphlets are, you must know when to distribute pamphlet. It's very important. So back in the day when Swiggy and Zomatos were not there, people used to distribute
Uh-huh.
pamphlets on Thursday night or Thursday morning. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, these are the 3 days, golden days for any hospitality industry. So the orders
Okay.
increase only when you have, these are the 3 days when people get time, and this is the time when people go out and eat. This was the trend back in the day. Now obviously, it's become pretty much convenient for everybody to order food anytime and every time. But if you are relying on pamphlets, you must distribute pamphlet accordingly, and the sales will
Okay.
increase only for the next 2 or 3 days. It will come down again. So you have to keep it
Right.
like on a regular basis. Yeah, it's like
Right.
just like the marketing and the ad which they show on TV, that they keep hammering it after certain interval. That's what you have to do.
Okay. This was very like enlightening, I would say. Yeah, I mean, one question, just it's not really a topic, but then now there are in the COVID situation, in the lockdown, there are a lot of people who have started their home kitchen. They started cooking food at home and they started selling it. So now I have this question to you, like, if somebody wants to take it to the next level, maybe to start an outlet when just it's a delivery like takeaway or something, or to start a restaurant or a cafe. So, how can we identify that this is the time, and you can this is the time wherein we can start our outlet and begin selling it on a on the next level.
That's a great question. I would say we meet a lot of home chefs, a lot of people who come to us for our Food Co Works business, and that's when we interact with them. So we always want them to have a hands-on before they get into a business like this, because there is a lot of competition and the margins are pretty much very much less. Like, it's a wafer thin margin that we work on, especially the food businesses. So any home chef who is a good chef, who can prepare good food, and if they have already started selling something from their house during the COVID situation, there is always a threshold of a house kitchen or a home kitchen. So the threshold would be the moment you are not able to fulfill the orders and you still have pending orders from the customers, that is one of the indicators to make you realize that, hey, it's time for you to move out of your house and start something of your own, because your food is good. That is the reason why you are in demand. Your prices are absolutely. Yeah, you there now?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect. So I
The
was saying,
network.
the moment we reach to that threshold when your house kitchen is not able to fulfill the orders, the demands which is coming either in your society or the nearby places, that's one of the indicators definitely when you must start thinking about opening your own kitchen or moving into a commercial facility. There are other challenges to take care of, because when you're working from home, you have your either your family or a few of your maids who can help you prepare the food and sell it. But and the scenario automatically changes. All the entire number game changes the moment you go out of your home, because then you have to
Right.
work on each and every factor. So that's a different thing altogether. But then, yes, if you are trying to sell it, if you are trying to sell food, it's always a good idea to start it from your home, and that will give you a validation of your product, which is your food. If people in your society like your food or nearby society like your food, you start getting orders. That's a booster, and I think that's definitely there.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, take this question. There's some question which is saying that what is the difference between marketing and sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So marketing is a very broad category. Marketing includes sales also. Under marketing, there are different verticals. So marketing uh, originates from the very conceptualization of the product itself, and then there are different journeys of a particular product. Sales is just one part of it. Sales and after sales services, these are just two parts of sales aspect to it. But when I talk about a product, say for example, if I talk about a pen, the very concept of the very start of conceptualizing the design, the kind, the color, so that pen itself, that also is a part of creative thinking, is also part of marketing. So right from
Yes.
starting or conceptualizing the product till the next level of selling it, and then the advertising is also one aspect to it. So marketing on a very broader level include both sales and marketing in it, but marketing is the always the supreme level and sales function. So sales is just, selling the product. Sales, selling, and after sales services. Basically, these are two factors which are involved in sales.
Okay. So, to go ahead, one more question which I wanted to ask is, now again, if you're a home chef and you're taking your business to the next level for, so in that case, because nowadays what happens is a lot of people are hesitant to start a outlet and go, and seek for a cloud kitchen. So in that case, how can one come to a conclusion that, okay, now I am taking my business to the next level. I should opt for a cloud kitchen, or whether I should opt for a cloud kitchen or I should opt for a, a single outlet. So how can one identify that?
Yeah, yeah. Very, very good thing to actually think about before we get into business. So, uh, number one, it all comes down from the kind of resources, the kind of how to put in the business. So it all starts from there. Number one, that's a
Okay.
very, very basic thing. Then you have to have a cost benefit analysis of any place. Say, for example, if I stay in Navi Mumbai, I look for a retail place on a high street where I can sell directly through a retail outlet. So I will need to figure out the kind of rentals, the kind of security deposit, and the monthly, expenses which I will be incurring. Because at the end of the day, the kitchen, whether we create it in a cloud kitchen format or in a retail kitchen format, the kitchen is gonna be more or less same. In a
Right.
retail outlet, you may have to spend a little more in the interiors and make it look good, which
Hmm.
kind of you are able to save in a cloud kitchen format, because there
Okay.
there is no direct interaction between the customer and your
Right.
product or the brand. So the moment you are going out on the road and getting in touch with the customers directly, there is always uh, it will be a little expensive affair, because you have to have, your capex will kind of go up, your capital expenses will increase a bit,
Right.
but kitchens will still remain the same. However, in a cloud kitchen format, you have a lot of flexibility, probably, which you may not have in a retail outlet. Because in a retail outlet, from the compliance perspective, also, a lot of the things, I'm sure you know it because you are from that background. So, the moment we talk about a retail and a cloud kitchen format, not just from the resources and the money part, but compliance also, the kind of location that we are choosing. We have seen businesses going down, right across the street. The left side of the street may be considered good for business, and the right side, shops have died. I'm sure you know it. These are
Right.
also very important. In spite of us being on the main road, we are not able to optimize or capitalize on that benefit. So there are a lot of factors. So we always have to look at what we have in hand and how much are we ready to spend. And accordingly, we have to calculate a buffer of the next 12 to 18 months for our rainy days, because the business will not be, booming right from our day one. So we have to have a
Right.
buffer of at least 12 to 18 months cash in hand, so that in case of any unforeseen circumstances like the COVID which happened recently, if we do not have that kind of buffer, we may have to shut down the business, and then the entire money which we have put in, it goes for a toss.
Okay. So, if someone wants to opt for a cloud kitchen and want to start their own restaurant or an outlet, so in that case, how does the commercials work?
So commercials will definitely differ. I mean, we are not into retail outlets at all. We are only dealing with the cloud kitchen, shared cloud kitchen business. So obviously, we try and understand, rather than, again, there is a sales aspect to this part also. So whenever we meet somebody, as I said earlier, I already believe in my product, so that part is already gone. But then I also have to understand the other person's requirement. What do they actually want? So sometimes some people are kind of confused. They just have one thing in their mind, that I want to sell something, but probably they might not have a clarity as in what do they want to sell, where do they want to sell, what is their expertise and what they can do. It's,
Right.
as a founder, you have to bring a lot on table. So if you are there to sell something, so I would say in terms of commercials, a lot of the things depend on the customer's requirement, and we ask them n number of questions. So while doing sales also, you have to probe, you have to ask questions. If you do not ask questions, customers sometimes they don't know what they want. So you have
Right.
to understand their actual their requirements, and accordingly you have to pitch them ideas. So our commercials are very much flexible, depending upon what the customer wants, what we can offer. And
Okay.
we try to make it um, cost effective, because we understand the business, and we also understand that it already works on a very wafer thin margin. So our objective is very clear. We just try to make sure that both of us survive, and we help them survive and thrive. Yeah.
Also, if one gets into a food business, for example, if we consider a restaurant, so as you mentioned earlier, while you were answering, that every day we don't have that same sales, so that keeps on fluctuating. So what is a mantra that one can implement to maintain or increase the sales of their food business?
I think the entire industry is figuring that out, honestly. There can never be one mantra for any successful business. Uh, there are different factors which has worked in. So if you talk about food industry, we have had legends like Bade Mia. They have made their name. So what works for them may not work for the other brand, probably Baghdadi or somebody else. So, and they are
Right.
kind of pretty close by. So we can't just blame the location, or we can't just give the credit of location to them. So then I would say what we are trying to offer to the customer in the kind of market that we are in. And there has to be see, everybody's selling food at the end of the day, and all of them claim that
Right.
my food is the best, right?
Hmm.
So why are they
Hmm.
not able to do as good as their competitors? So we always have to
Right.
go back and ask this question to ourselves, that what is what is it that appeals to my customer? And we have to understand that it's not a one day's job. It's not a simple marketing or a sales trick that we can implement, and our business can boom from the next day. But that mantra, I would say, to identify what my customer wants and how can I do that. So balancing an act between the demand and the supply by keeping the price point. It's a very price sensitive market today, thanks to Swiggy and Zomato. They have already created a bloodbath out there. Without discounts, people are
Right.
not able to sell their food, and then there is no money left after giving discounts.
Right.
So then you
Right.
have to play it very smart. you know what kind of product are you gonna sell at what price point? What is it, my best selling items? So it's a continuous effort of you studying your own products, studying their own sales, if what is being sold, what is not being sold, doing a continuous R&D, and evolution of your menu, kind of coming up with some catchy offers. That's also that's a part of marketing. uh, so
Right.
just writing a flat 20% discount is one way, and the same,
Right.
if I'm losing out 20 rupees on a 100 rupees ka product, if
Huh.
I show it in a different way to my own customers. So you have to be a
Hmm.
little creative. What is it that
Right.
customers want?
Hmm.
Discount is prominent, but how can you show the same discount in a different manner? So
Exactly.
some people come up with, they'll give the discount only when they buy it for the second time. That means they are trying to retain the customer. Some people give the
Right.
coupon code, that for the first order you'll get this much of discount, for the second order you'll get this much
Exactly.
of discount. Some people come
Right.
up with the idea of referral codes, that hey, if you like the food, if you refer it to some of your friends, you get some discounts on your next order. So you see, that's
Right.
how. Uh, at the end of the day, what are we talking about? Discounts. So as I said, you have to put your brain, and there is no fixed mantra for everything, and discount is just one part to it. So just like the way
Right.
you are, playing with the discount things, you also have to play with your menu.
Right.
Obviously there are certain restrictions. You can't keep changing your menu every day, but then
Exactly.
uh, every week, if you come up with
Hmm.
something weekend special, you know
Hmm.
a special of the day, which most of the restaurants do, a lot of the
Hmm.
creativity thing can be put with your menu also,
Hmm.
just with the same
Right.
resources, without spending any money on it. You can still do the
Hmm.
same thing, and this is what the customers want. I think
Right.
customers keep new varieties all the time, and that is why uh, people keep evolving their menu also. So this
Hmm.
this is what, just one aspect of understanding your customer. And the moment you understand your customer, I think you can implement all these actions and make something. At least you'll be able to. There will be a little bit of more customer interaction with your brand. I think that helps. That will definitely help.
Perfect. So also how important it is to identify the budget for the marketing and the sales. So because there are a lot of people who spend n number of money on sales and marketing. So but then how can one define that this is the budget define, and accordingly I should spend so much, because at the end, sorting your commercials for each and every step is very important. So how can one define, the
Yes,
amount
very
of
very good.
budget for marketing?
Very good question. I would say, uh, number one, we should never have a fixed budget for it. Your entire budget should be on creating the food, and you know, the moment we start a cloud kitchen or any food business, uh, the very first idea should be, it should not be so Swiggy and a Zomato dependent business. The moment you do
Okay.
anything like that, uh, I think it's gonna be a bloodbath out there. You will be burning a lot of money without getting anything in return, and a lot of hard work will go into that. So the very first thing you have to start from is that, okay, I am here to sell food, and I am not starting just because it is Swiggy and Zomato who are selling my food. Swiggy and Zomato should only be one of your marketing channels. So utilize them as showcasing your product on in the market. They should be just one of the marketing platforms. So you should always keep that in mind. Then the second question will be, how can I sell my food now if it is not on Swiggy and Zomato, and I'm already working in a
Right.
cloud kitchen? So then comes the, if I start something in Malad, I'll try and get hold of local influencers who are working in both on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, on all the social media platforms. I'll ask them to taste my food, and I'll ask them to give
Okay.
an honest review on their
Hmm.
media websites, on their channels, on their handles. So
Hmm.
that's also one of the ways. So here you have
Okay.
not spent money, honestly speaking. You have just made somebody taste your food, and if they talk about it, I'm sure there will be at least 2 or 3% of conversion in your orders. So
Right.
that's just one idea. Like that, you'll also do pamphlet marketing. You'll do something at least in that area to get a visibility. You may come up with a poster and post it somewhere. So I'm just throwing random ideas. Honestly, nothing works. Not all the ideas work everywhere, but these are some random ideas which you can try. Then there are social media companies nowadays which are there to promote all the delivery kitchens, just like Swiggy and Zomato. Like we have Bro Eats, we have the Ordering Guy. There are a couple of more brands coming in. In fact, so what they do, they promote your brand on social media platforms. So then your dependency on Swiggy and Zomato also reduces drastically. That way you can,
Right.
you know, you can just try your, say for example, 5,000 or 10,000 ka budget every month with Swiggy and Zomato, and you can see the return. So after running it for 3 to 6 months, you will have a concrete, at least a fair amount of data to take a decision that what needs to be done next. These are some random ideas which I just talked about. But then you will be the best judge because you know your market pretty well. You know the kind of feedback which you are receiving from customers, both and on Swiggy and Zomato. So that gives you enough insight after 5 6 months that what could be your next course of action. So I would say no fixed budget, number one. You have to be like, there are times when if you are launching a brand before any festival, okay, say for example, now we may start with Dashera, Diwali, all those Dahi Handi. So it's a series of festivals. So you must understand that is one time when you can afford to put in extra amount of money just to be seen. So the marketing budget, if your marketing budget is just 10,000, and if you are like, saving it for the next year, that yes, I'll start it from the month of January. You must understand when is the time when online orders happen the most. So if you are waiting, if you are not spending enough money during festival season, probably you may lose out. You may lose out big time. You may miss out on good number of orders also. So this is also you have to keep in mind. Generally, sales happen during festivals, sales happen during IPLs, sales happen during any big events. So that is the time when you can go beyond your budget, you know give some extra discount if you want to, or use some more pay per clicks, or you can have your own online uh, hoardings. You can do all that with Zomato and Swiggy and other platforms also. But you have to be very you have to strategize well in advance for the whole year, that if I start in the month of January, what should be my plan in the month of March, which is Holi, then what should be my plan during all these occasions. So you have to play that to your advantage, and you can do that. People do that.
Okay. Okay. So we take one question over here. What's the
Yes,
regulation dictating the testing requirements food products?
that's your question. I think you must answer that question. Yeah.
So okay, fine. So to go ahead with the when it comes to the testing requirements, it's mandatory for any food business operator to do basic food testing with respect to microbial parameters. Chemical parameters are not that mandatory, but checking for basic microorganisms such as Escherichia coli, Salmonella, then Staphylococcus aureus. Not only food, but the water that you are using in your restaurant, or if you're a home chef and you're cooking food and then are selling outside. So the water testing of your, in your outlet or at your home, which you're using for cooking that food is also has to be tested. So there are certain parameters with respect to water testing also. Specifically, as per the FSSAI regulations, there is IS 10500 standard for water testing. There are more than 30 parameters for that. But then when it comes to the basic requirement of water testing, there are around 12 to 14 parameters which one can go ahead and do the testing requirements. So yeah, I hope I have answered that question. We have one more question for you. How can a person know that a product sold to them is a fraud or a fake product? Because everyone is purchasing any product through online.
I think he's talking about e-commerce platforms these days.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now in that case, I think it's a valid question. We must first check the credibility of the website. If we have never heard about that website or that platform, we must check the reviews and the ratings. We can also Google about them. The moment you Google about them, if there is anything fake about it, somebody might have posted it there on Google. And when in doubt, you can just try and check the company's database, their incorporation details, which is pretty much available on Zorba, and there are n number of websites. So that also tells
Right.
you whether this company was a, if it's a private limited company or if it's a registered company. You can find some details there on the website. So there are different ways
Right.
you can try and find out. You can also ask your friends, those who shop online regularly. And if you do not get proper answers, then my suggestion would be to change your platform and switch to Amazon or Myntra or any company which you know of. I think they sell
Right.
almost everything, so which you can buy.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's one more question for you, Sumit. What would you suggest for a newcomer in food business to develop their own brand or something by marketing strategy?
Uh, I'm sorry. Can you just come again? The first
Yeah,
part of the
I will just
question.
repeat the question. Just a minute. Yeah. What would you suggest for a newcomer in food business to develop their own brand or something by marketing strategy?
Uh, it's very important to at least when you launch your product on Swiggy and Zomato also they show you they have a different category which is called as new to be launched or launching soon. So they definitely give you that mileage for the first 7 days or so where any customer can go on the app and see which are the new restaurants which are being launched in my area. So as a customer, we are kind of inquisitive and we would definitely love to order from them because we will always try something new. So that's one of the
Right.
ways. But rather than being dependent, as I said earlier, you are not starting the kitchen for Swiggy and Zomato, but you are starting the kitchen to sell your own food to the customers. So these are just some intermediaries. You have to use them like that. So number one, brand building will be done in a later stages. The very first thing that happens when you open a kitchen is to make sure that your operations are in place. Your food costing is proper. You know your processes in and out. Trust me, from the day one, if you start focusing on just the marketing aspect to it, and if your kitchen is not able to support that, you will be in a big mess, I'm telling you. So uh, once you have a pretty much strong control in your operations, it's then you can focus on getting to your customers. So before you launch any brand in any market, this actually starts before you even do that. You must know what kind of food is being sold there. What is the best selling items on Swiggy and Zomato? There are certain online data which you can do. It's a homework for every food business operators. They must know which all restaurants are doing good. What is the price point? At what price point they are selling, chicken, mutton, veg items. Everything has to be known. And then you have to think about what is the product that you are offering. And then there is another competition. Uh, you have to understand and you must know what is it something unique or what is your advantage in the same market where 10 Chinese products are already being sold and you are the
Right.
11th supplier, you are the 11th guy. So what makes you stand out from those 10 different people? If you are still the same guy, why would a customer want to order from you? You must understand that. See, it's not just about spending money by giving discounts. This won't last forever. It may last for certain, for a month or so, but then you might have burned a lot of money. The moment you stop giving discounts, the customer will not find that hook. So you have to have that differentiator that even after tasting your food once, the customer has to order all by himself without any discount or without anything. The customer should come back to you. So brand building will happen eventually. Brand is something which you can't build overnight. Brand is
Right.
brand building is a continuous process. It's also a part which they teach in marketing. You have to focus on your product, the differentiator, the quality, and the consistency of it. The moment you keep doing that, yes, the numbers will not rise from day one. You will eventually reach there if your product is good and if you are just using the right techniques. There are no fixed techniques, and we've already talked about all those. So, as long as
Right.
somebody likes your food, uh, they will definitely go ahead and tell 10 different people about it, and one of them will definitely order. So, that's how you are acquiring your new customer without spending any money on it.
Right. Also, Sumit, now a lot of people are getting into authentic food. That can be into Maldivi cuisine or Bengali cuisine or a North Indian or a Sindhi cuisine. So how profitable particular authentic
I
cuisine.
think
Is
I'm
that?
losing you. I'm sorry. I'm
Should
sorry.
I
I think, can you just repeat the
repeat the
whole thing
question?
again after the?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you just
Yeah.
repeat?
So now what is happening is a lot of people, if home chefs you consider, they are getting into a lot of authentic food. That is into Sindhi cuisine, then Malbani cuisine, and then what is happening is, especially in a city like Mumbai or any metropolitan city, if you consider, people crave for that particular authentic food. So how, through a sales point of view, how, strategically also, if we consider, how profitable is that business when it comes to selling authentic food?
Um, it's a difficult business, to be very honest, because when you're trying to sell something special, and it's a niche category. So in sales, we are talking from the perspective of sales. There is a product which is being sold to masses, and there is a product which is being sold to niche, and they have both of them. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. The advantage with regional cuisines is that obviously people are craving for certain kind of cuisine and they are not able to find it, so they would come looking for it. Okay, so advantages are, you will have fixed set of customers, you may have repeat customers there pretty much, and they may be able to pay you the right kind of price also. The pain point is to reach to them, and that's where a lot of burning may happen initially, because then you have to have that continuous effort of hammering those customers. Number one, finding those kind of customers. If I start selling non-veg in Malad, it will never sell, right? I mean, in Mahavir Nagar or in Kandivali, because there
Right.
is a veg crowd there. So number one, even though I have a passion of selling something unique and regional in certain area, I must understand the geography first. So
Right.
if there is a good Jan crowd around me, and if I'm really looking at selling something specific, something regional, then I would go creating some cuisine which is around the entire Jan structure or Jan mentality. So this is what they eat. So if I can create something like that, then then comes the marketing aspect to it. And as I said, the moment you have a kitchen, uh, you know, you should be shameless enough in asking anybody and everybody for help. That, hey, I'm starting something like this. So just like I told you about going to all the societies, talking to the secretaries, uh, you know, uh, telling them, or you know, coaxing them in whatever way possible, just to get your brand name in their WhatsApp group. That's one way. Then social media is second. Social media, local influencers, they are your third method. Pamphlets, they are your fourth method. And then it all depends upon your resources, also the budget that you want to allocate, and then the time of the year. If it's the festive season, I would like to spend more money during that time, because the first 3 months of my spend will give me enough returns, because if my product is good, the customer will always come back to me. So I think these are few factors which I
Right.
would look at if I have to do something like that. And I think there is a question, I think.
Yeah, there's a question. Advertisement places a very important role in any business. So, what you prefer to sell a product through mouth advertisement and pamphlet, or digital marketing, that is through social media?
Um, well, as I said, there is no fixed mantra for anything. No matter, I mean, if you are a cloud kitchen and if you just buy a huge billboard on Bandra reclamation, what do you think? Will customers order from your cloud kitchen? So no, that won't. And that's also a part of advertising activity, right? So you are marketing, and you are spending money on advertising. So then you must realize, you start from the small, and you must uh, you know you take one step at a time. So I can't just
Right.
put 1 lakh rupee ka budget from the very first day. Even if I have enough money, I'm never gonna spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees just for the marketing. So I would start small with certain traditional methods, like pamphlets. At least, I'll create some good flex boards, some good branding, and probably I'll try to put it somewhere so that people at least notice that hey, there is a new brand or a kitchen around in our area. Then you can talk to the society members or the secretaries of the local residents. If it is completely corporate area, then you should share those free samples with the HRs of the companies. So you have to penetrate. You cannot rely completely on social media to sell your food, and you can never rely on Swiggy and Zomato to sell your food, because then you will hardly be left with anything. And then you should also spend money on Swiggy's pay per clicks. You should also buy hoardings on Zomato, those carousels which they charge for. So these are few
Right.
things which you can start and looking at, and you should never spend all that in just 1 month. So just spend few things, on something like pamphlets. You start from the first month, and you can pair it with one digital and one physical channel. So if you are taking help of the pamphlet, along with the pamphlet, you should either have a Instagram post, or you can put some money over there. If you can do it all by yourself, that's a savings for you. So you can pair it with either pamphlet or a Swiggy ka pay per click. So, or you can,
Right.
the next month you can take that Zomato's carousel and leave that pay per click first month. So whatever methods you try it in combos of digital and physical both. Run it for the first
Okay.
2 or 3 months. Understand the data, only then change the strategy. Don't change the strategy completely. So that will give you enough understanding that whatever, that what is working out for you the best. And then you can prioritize your spending accordingly, if you in a longer run.
Okay. I hope, Shifani, your question has been answered. Sumit, to go ahead with, of course, sales and marketing is basically a trial and error. But then, taking food industry into consideration, what are the major, big no's which we can say that one can avoid one can avoid in marketing?
Now that's a difficult question. There are When you're talking about marketing, I would say, uh, as I said earlier, first, you know, uh, build your foundation first. So marketing is a very, some people start the marketing even when the product is not there. So you have to play it smart. Not many people can do that. So it's like concept selling. So if you have a regional cuisine in mind and you want to sell it from tomorrow, or rather after 1 month, you know you can start selling that concept from tomorrow itself or from today itself. That is also one of the ways to look at it. And that way you can have by the time you are about to launch the product, you will have certain customers for it. Some customers might have paid in advance also. You never know. So I would say marketing, there are n number of things that you can do. What you cannot do, marketing never is never limited to what you
Right.
cannot do. It's all about one's imagination, one's power of executing what you are able to imagine, because that's very important. I can think of 100 things, but will I be able to execute it on the ground perfectly? Because that's
Right.
what is gonna give me 100% returns. So I think there is no in marketing. You can do anything and everything, trust me. There is no limit of doing marketing. It's all about understanding your expertise, understanding your qualities first, your products, and your area, geography, the kind of customers you're dealing with, and the competition. These are few factors which anybody, it's like a homework. It's like a homework. Anybody can do it. And I'm sure once you begin with this, uh, there are always lesser chances of you failing, at least.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sumit, for such an informative session. So before we have a closure to this session, what would one message that you would like to give all the viewers, who want to start a food business or who are already into the food business?
Well, I can only, trust me, I'm not a saint. I'm here just, you know, uh, it's like whatever we have learned in our short stint of startup journey. I can only share that, and that one liner would be just believe in yourself. Because if you do not believe in yourself, everything else fails. So there is no point in going forward if you do not believe in what you're doing. I think that will take you to places. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks a ton for joining us for this session. This was really an informative session. Even in this entire session, I covered up certain questions which I had personally. Because later, like you guys are so busy that we don't even get time. And I took this opportunity. Wherein I could ask questions to you so that you could answer it in a proper way. So thank you so much. I am sure that all the
Thank you so much.
viewers. My pleasure. And it was really an informative session. And yeah, thank you for motivating as well. Thank you, Sumit. Thanks a ton for
Thank you
joining
for
us
this
for this session.
opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye. Take care.